Hope your end of 2022 is going well. This is Chris Mello, your cloud friend. And now we are going to try to automate the creation of a Splunk cluster. And we're going to automate the creation using Terraform. And we'll also bring in some Ansible to get Ansible to have some fun in the party. So stand by and we're going to go through this and we shall create this infrastructure as code using Terraform and Ansible to create our Splunk cluster. Enjoy. What I want to do here before we get going into our Splunk cluster is, I've explained this in previous videos, you want to set up your Terraform cloud account. It's free. So please go out and just click on your free account. Very self-explanatory. Doesn't even want a credit card, so life is good on this front. So please go set this up, and then once you set this up, come back and we will actually log in and get a workspace ready for us. Set up here. Now we're going to go and sign in here. I don't want to say my password. One thing you want to do before you're going is you want to make sure that when we go to settings here, I should have asked you to set your the name here, your organization name. So that being said, when you first logged in, if it didn't, this is where you're going to have to set everything. This is my example org 7635C8. It was created from a computer algorithm, but you need this. We're going to need these numbers here when we actually try to connect to Terraform. So that being said, let's go to workspaces. Now I've already created Splunk, but you need to go up here and create a new workspace if you haven't done it yet. And just make sure you come down here and hit CLI driven workflow and just name your workspace Splunk, and then you can create it, which I've done, but just click to create and you should be ready to go. It should come up into this menu here. And now we need to go back to our Terraform and Visual Studio Code, and we're going to set this up so we can log in using Terraform Cloud. I'm going to make a directory for our new workspace / project. So let me do this. See, I always have mine in my home directory. So projects. Let's make a directory. We'll call this be Splunk. Let me cd into Splunk. Whoops. And then let's just touch a main.tf file. We'll use this to access it. Now we should be ready to go in Visual Studio Code. The basics done here. Let's go and open that directory up here. Recent folders, should be projects. It looks like I'm in my Splunk directory. Okay, life is good. Now we need to get some basic information to get our script going here. To my Terraform Cloud, and when we go back to our workspace here, hope you have this still open. It's going to show this little section of code. Now we can copy and paste this in. It's got to go to the top of the file. I have a slightly different version that I've used in my previous videos. I've showed you how to do this, but that being said, it's just a header block, and it's really not rocket science here. Except the one thing that I did notice, this is Splunk. So I did a couple of new things when I was doing this. This is just, the only thing you would have to change is just your organization here. And the workspace is Splunk. And that being said, I can require providers. Okay, so this is just routine stuff that we need to do to get this stuff set up to connect. A terminal on the bottom. Click that terminal. Let's open it up down here. And we should be in this directory. Just make sure I'm in the right place. Oh, I'm not actually, which is kind of interesting. We go to Splunk. You got to be in that directory or it just will not work. Okay. So that being said, let's go ahead and do Terraform init. It should get us going here. It's been successfully. Okay. Coming down here. Okay, that's looking good. Now let's do a Terraform login. This is how we're going to authenticate our sessions. Login. Hit yes when he comes up, and it should give you an access key here. And voila, we've done this before in the past, but we'll do this for this new one. We'll do this. Paste this in. And we are looking good. And you'll get these the first time you do this, you get this ability to do some of their examples and some, if you have never done this before, some setup scripts and getting started. But now we should be good to go. We are now have our Terraform workspace configured to connect, and we should be good to go. Okay, let me just copy in the template here. It's going to be, we'll call this master. We'll call this index 1, index 2, and then we'll call this what, name prefix, I guess. Okay, that'll work. This is going to be, we're going to make 3 different EC2 instances. One will be the master, index 1, index 2, just for example. Should probably give this plural index prefixes. Huh? Okay, let's go down here. Now we're going to have to define how the AMIs are going to look. A little bit here. I do have a little bit of a template from it. Excuse me, from a different file. So this is our AM image that we've created. And we definitely want to make this T2 micro. And key name, I've got one called Jenkins External. I've been using this for a long time. Jenkins External. Whoops, I need not an underscore. This is how I've got it defined. Count, we're going to make 3 of them here. And security groups, I have the same thing named here. I got Jenkins External. I'm consistent with my naming conventions here. And that's looking good to go. We'll need this name tags here later on so we can basically output some of this data into a file. So we're looking good here. That should give us our T2 micro Jenkins. I'm looking at that over. I'm pretty sure that's the right AMI image. If not, we'll find out when we try to plan and run it and execute it. Okay, let me just add a little bit of documentation here. And this is going to be our Splunk cluster example. Okay, now we're going to have to move on to the next section here. I have in previous videos gone over how to make security groups, in the code itself. I'm not going to do that here, but if you go back to, I believe it's the Terraform cloud video, we go through that extensively. So that being said, I've already got one already made. I'm just going to use the one I've made. And same with all of the key names. We've done that in previous videos. So that being said, this is just going to be a Splunk video. So that is the purpose of this standalone, and we'll move forward. I did grab a template to save some time here. This is going to be, let's just keep things simple here. Okay, send IP info to config file for Ansible. All right, so let's go through this here. We can just make this be just the standard hosts, should work. The content, I've been using this for EOF for years. EOF is a good one. And local host, we'll just call it, just local hosts, Ansible, connection, just keeps it local for now. That should work. And we're going to need the Ansible interpreter right now. Don't know where that is off the top of my head, but we will just put this in here. Ansible Python. I will come back to this. In the Splunk, this will just be, I will make this be the PEM file that Jenkins, I've got this file created already. So we should be good to go. Whoops, if I can grab this. Okay, so let me just check this over. All right, now we just got to figure out what the servers are. I'm going to see if I see any typos. Whoops, I do see a little typo here. Don't want the period in front. Okay, now let's go and actually add the Splunk servers here. All up here, and I added the Splunk servers down here. Pretty standard syntax here. If you look, it's just instance Splunk example 0, 1, 2. I don't see any typos. And I just changed one thing. It's the Splunk example up here for a resource. Okay, so that should just print out what the IPs are, assuming I didn't screw that up. Now, one thing I did forget to do, which we're going to have to do right now, is we're going to have to go back to our cloud here, Terraform cloud, and we're going to have to actually add our secret access keys. That's why I errored out on me here. See the error here, which is my bad. I forgot to do this. So let's go to variables, and if you forgot how to do this, lesson number 1, we did this a while back. If you don't have it or you need to redo it, go back to lesson 1, or part 1, I should say, part 1 of this series. Okay, so let's just do add a variable here. So obviously I am not going to show you my keys, but I will show you how you can add yours here. Secrets underscore access. And your key. You're gonna have to copy and paste this in from the one you've stored off in the past. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're gonna make this is sensitive. So you want to save the variable. And then I'm going to do another one here, which would be, assuming I save that off, you'll get a new window. Do AWS access, whoop, 2 C's there, access, key, ID, and this will be 1, 2, 3, whatever your number is here. Make that be sensitive and save that. And once you've got those 2 variables in your workspace, you should be able to connect to AWS and we should be able to run our Terraform file. I took a break. I just got back here after a long walk. But I did do a little bit of checking. Everything was fine when I did the plan. So moving forward here, I did add another section of code here, which is going to be the peer comp, which is a file that will be needed for the Splunk cluster. So this is pretty straightforward syntax here. You can see I've got the file name and the old EOF from, boy, that's been an old thing for many years. And then just some stuff that's going to go in the file. And we're going to make this is going to be, 0 will be the master and it'll be the peer mode. So that being said, I just threw a password in here. We should be able to run this. So let's give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, let's go ahead and run Terraform plan. Let's see if this is actually gonna work here. Make sure I get this up so you guys can see what's going on. Waiting for the plan to start. Should probably come back in a minute or 2. I'll do that. I'll kill it and come back in about a minute when this thing's ready. Come up. I didn't see any problems here. It's going to start 3 resources, which would cost me about $26 a month. This is the free tier. Let me bring this up so we can actually see what it's going to do here. Well, this is just going to be what it will do when we actually run it, but I don't. Obviously, a lot of the stuff won't be applied until we run it, but no errors, which is great. So let's move forward here and let's try to organize this. I'm going to break up the code in the sections here, because one thing about Terraform is you can break up the files as long as it's in the same directory and we'll read them as this one. So let's go ahead and make a file called ansible.tf, and we're going to move everything over there. So let's just touch ansible.tf. Okay, that should be here. Now let's just grab all of this stuff here and we'll put it into, I'm going to bring this down, it's a little bit too much for me. All right, I'm going to bring these into the Terraform file. Sorry, I'm a little bit sloppy here today. All right, we'll cut this. We'll bring this over to the Ansible TF. The first one, paste. Let's get the other one. Did I forget the R for some reason? I must have forgot the R. Okay, now let's go get the second one. There must be an R somewhere, and yeah, I left that R behind. And let's grab the other one here. And this should run just the same as it did before. We'll test it, but it'll act as if it's the same file. And we can start to organize this stuff out. All right, which is nice. Let's just go ahead and file, save all. And I'll try to do a terraform plan just to make sure that we did this right, but it should be the same result. Plan again and see if it goes through. I'll kill it again here. I won't torture everybody by going through this, so I'll let it run again and we'll be right back. I'm gonna roll here, so let's break this up even more. Let's touch security.tf. And what we'll do is we'll create a security group in here too, just to be for the completeness here. I just copied this from my previous example we've had in the past. We'll just call this. What are we going to call this one? I will call it Splunk. Splunk. How about just security group Splunk? Okay, that's pretty generic. And I'll do the same thing here. For right now, we'll leave it wide open. We really could make this be more hunkered down, but we'll get the basics set up. You could figure out what your IP address is and just hunker it down. VCP ID. I probably won't do this for right now. Okay, so this is looking good. Let me just do all this here. Let me just get the tags. We'll get the same name down here. File. Oh, I'm getting a little bit goofy here. Give me that in here. Give me a paste command. Okay, so we're looking good here. Let's save this off and we'll modify the other part. Save all. Okay, let's just go back to our main. I have to change the security group because it's not going to be Jenkins external anymore. It is going to be the one we just created. What should I paste in here? Okay, let's do this. File, save all. All right. Let's just make sure this is going to verify. And once I'm sure it's verified, then we'll go ahead and move forward. I had one little mistake there. I had a dash with my security group, had to be an underscore, so you can change. I just changed those. But besides that, everything verified. Now the next thing we're going to do here is we use Packer to generate our AMI image in the past, but we're going to use Cloud Init this time. And I know we've got an AMI instance there, but we're going to expand upon this a little bit, and we're going to add just some more functionality so we can actually create our AMI image here. Okay, so standby one. More involved than I thought I was going to be when I initially started this, but I'm going to, we are going to create a Cloud Init file that we can use here. I'm going to touch this. And let's open this up. And we're going to turn this into a user file so we can do Cloud Init. Open this guy up. And here we go. It's going to be Cloud Init time. So instead of in Packer, we're going to do it right here in Terraform. And one thing whenever we do this is you have to start the file like this with config. That's just the way it is. And I'm going to start with the packages before we were. This is a little bit better way. I actually like using this better than Packer, but I like the way it's set up. So couple things we're going to need here is wget and /tar. The reason why I'm just looking at some of the scripts we're going to have to load to get this running here. Okay. A little bit on this section. I copied and pasted this right from the Splunk web page. This is what we'll need to do to actually get Splunk running on our new instances. And then I did one more thing here that I'll do, just some generic code that I got from the Terraform page, and I'll paste that into thing. I just got this right from a couple of example pages here if we wanted to use all of this. I'm not going to get into this, but this is just users and groups you can add to your instance when we get going. But I'll copy and paste it in here for now, and we can play with this a little bit more later. But this is fairly useful here. Now this file will run these packages, will install these packages and run these commands, and it's wide open to what you can do with this particular file. So let's get this file to be activated on our new servers. Hold on. We're going to have to add an ID here for this to work. It's going to have to be right here. Paste. I just copy this in here. It should be right in our. It should be right in here. Should we just do it like this? It's right in our home directory. Okay. Now that being said, let me save this. We'll have to. One more thing we'll have to do is add this script down to our instance type here. Hold on. And yeah, I'm going much faster than usual here. I should probably slow down, but I'll slow down in a second and explain what this is all about. Okay, so all we did here is this is just a data group called cloud init config and server config. So all this is going to do is in user data, it's going to call this data cloud init server config, which is up here. Then the server config, which is here, and then just rendered, which should allow us to run this. Now let's go give it a shot and let's test all this file and see if we have any errors. There probably will be some, but we'll clean them up. So this is just syntax, everybody. I don't think it's rocket science. You don't need to think too much. You just need to your cloud init config's got to be defined in that data group up on top, and then you just add that below, and that should basically run this config YAML file on that instance when it boots up. So I hope that's clear enough. Okay, the only error I found when I ran that, it did run without any problems the second time, I left a $ in front of server.yml. So that being said, it's going to run. Now let's go run this whole thing. This is going to get long. I want to do some Ansible after we get this, but let's try to get this to run first. Make sure our servers all come up, and then we'll go through the apply, then we'll destroy it, and we'll take a step back and work on the Ansible part. But we're doing pretty well here, so let's move forward and try to build this whole thing. We actually start running this thing here. Let's go to my AWS instance. I've only got 3 running right now. And here's my workspace I ran in about 7 hours ago. And let's go see if we can actually run this sucker. So that being said, let's go back here and terraform apply. And I don't want to spend the whole time doing this, but we'll see what happens when we actually see if this is, yeah, it's planning. Here we go. That's looking good. So it's talking and it's thinking. So let's just let this run for a while. I'll come back because this might take a while, but we'll see if there's any errors. We'll just fix them. So stand by one. Error when I ran it the first time, it just started to run again. I had to make my key pair for Jenkins external. For some reason, it should have been there, but it wasn't in my system, so I just created it up on top. So let's try this again. You can see right here, key pair. I'll change this public key when I'm done running this, but this should get us going. Faster than I thought it would. So let's go take a look and see if what's going on here. Let me refresh this. We should have more instances running if it did it correctly. Okay, yes, but we are definitely getting a strange name for our EC2 instances. We'll have to figure out what's going on with that, but it looks like we do have these all up and running. Let's go back to our workspace and see what's going on over here. It looks like it applied it a few seconds ago. Life is good. Okay, this is part 1. What we're going to do is I'm going to take a break. I'm doing this for a little bit too long. I'll do a part 2, and we can deal with the Ansible part of it with the next video. And we will go and get the Ansible scripts to actually do what they're supposed to do to get Splunk running. All right, well, guys, have a good one, and I appreciate the video time, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.